What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Jesus Fed. My name is Aiden, and in today's episode, I just want to talk about what sin is and how we stop it. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. First, I think it's important that we know what sin is. Right? Sin is lying, cheating, adultery, it's stealing. Things that fall into that category that is what's considered sin. And sin it separates us from God, which is why we shouldn't do it because it separates us from God, and honestly, sin is just all around, in my opinion, morally wrong to do. When we sin, it separates ourselves from God. And all God wants is a relationship with us. He just wants a relationship with us. And if we sin, then we can't grow in relationship with him because we're still holding on to something that contradicts his character. Like if I was your friend and I did something constantly that made you upset or that you were uncomfortable with and you told that to me, you told me, "Hey, like you do this thing and I really don't like it." Then if I keep doing it, you're going to want to not be my friend. You're going to want to separate because it's going to be healthier for you. So now how do we stop sin? Well, sin, we have to first realize that we are born sinners in a sinful world. There's nothing we can do to stop the temptations of sin, the temptations to sin. But there is someone who can help us to not fall into sin. It's not necessarily that you have to try to stop sinning because that's not what God wants. He doesn't want you to try to stop sinning because you can't. You physically can't. But as you grow in relationship with Him, you will start to stop feeling the need to sin as much. Or if you do fall into sin, you will feel a stronger conviction, a stronger sense of conviction from the Lord. I've just seen over the years that like I felt I feel less likely to want to sin. Basically, like my desires to sin are like not as strong anymore. And so one way we can stop it is by giving it to the Lord, by telling him, "Hey, I have this sin and I'm confessing it and I need help with it, Lord. I know it's wrong and I know I shouldn't do it. So please just help me with it, Lord." And then secondly, what we can do is we can cut off what makes us fall into sin, right? Like for me, at night I've had to charge my phone on my desk right here before I go to bed because every time I'd lay down, I would watch TV on my phone and I'd go back to that website. So it's a matter of figuring out what makes you sin and then cutting off those parts to make sure you don't fall into sin. Because a lot of times we like to blame the devil or sometimes we even blame God. But really it's us who put ourselves in those positions to fall into sin. It's ourselves who put ourselves in those positions to be tempted. In Matthew 6, Jesus gives a perfect example of how to stop sin. In verses 28 and 29, Jesus says, "But I say, anyone who even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So if your eye, even your good eye, causes you to lust, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell." Now Jesus isn't saying, "I want you, if you keep looking at that website, to gouge your eye out or to cut your hand off." Right? He's not saying that. Rather, he's saying cut off the parts of your life that make you fall into sin. So for me, it was cutting off my phone at night. For you, it may be something different. But when you find out what causes you to sin, what causes you to feel tempted to sin, then it's easier to stop it. So pay attention to what makes you fall into sin. Is it your phone at night? Is it that group of friends you hang out with? And realize that like we're all sinners. We're all going to sin no matter how close we are to God. We're all still considered sinners, and there's nothing we can do to stop sinning. But that's the grace of God. And that's not to say just to keep sinning because we can't stop it anyway. That's to say that we need to take our sin and give it to someone, to the only one who is, the most powerful being who can actually help us with it and help us through it. So yeah, just a quick recap. What is sin? Sin is just, more morally wrong things. Well, I consider them to be morally wrong. So, like, anything you could go to jail for, anything that goes against the law. Um, and then what does it do? Well, it separates us from God, and they're just wrong in general. But yeah, and then lastly, how to stop it. Figure out causing you what in your life is causing you to feel tempted to then fall into sin. Because a lot of times we put ourselves in the temptation phase, and the temptation phase leads us to the sin phase, to actually sin. But if we can stop putting ourselves in positions to even feel tempted, then we won't fall into sin. So figure out what causes you to feel tempted and then cut it out of your life. And then most importantly, give your sin to the Lord. Confess with your mouth. Confess to him that you are a sinner and that you sin and that you want and need help. And lastly, remember there's nothing we can do to stop sin. There's nothing we can do to stop the temptations. Feeling tempted is not the sin itself. Feeling tempted is a part of being human. If we never felt tempted, then we would never need God. Think about that for a minute. If we never felt tempted, we would never need to rely on God to not be, to not sin. Sometimes God allows stuff like that to happen. It keeps things like that in your life so that way you can lean on Him and rely on Him. Because if you didn't, then you wouldn't need. I hope you guys learned and enjoyed, or learned something new and enjoyed. And until next time.